Zoom, would you like to introduce yourself?
That's probably my wife. So.
Is that your wife?
Yeah.
Oh.
So my lovely wife. She's working, so
okay.
So she's probably.
We'll leave her on mute then. Welcome. Thanks for coming, Heather. Well, we'll just go ahead and get started. Happy National Entrepreneurship Week, everyone. If you didn't realize that is happening this week. We've been celebrating here at the Focus Suites, and each day we've been focusing on one of the 5 core life skills of the entrepreneurial mindset, and today just happens to be celebrating having a healthy relationship with failure. So when we work with the gap year students right after Perk, that's going to be our topic today, is making failure not just okay, but a necessary part of success. So we encourage you all to think about times you failed over the years, and how you've dealt with that and grown from failure, and that we all wouldn't be here if we hadn't failed at something at some point. So with that, I would like to introduce our spotlight speaker. We have Jurey here. He is one of our newest Focus Suites members, and he's going to share his story with us.
Thank you, Brooke. Thanks for having me. When you put out the list, I was like, yeah, maybe not. I don't know if I could do that. I found out it was Entrepreneurship Week, and kind of felt maybe I could give back a little bit. So excited to be here, excited to talk with everybody. I'm glad I have some friends smiling back at me here in the room. Some good people out there, some brilliant entrepreneurs in the room, whether you know it or not. There's a lot of inspiration here, a lot of really good people, so I appreciate that. When Brooke told me about the healthy relationship with failure concept, I never really quite thought about that. But when you're not the type of person to be satisfied with the status quo, or you're not comfortable just letting things pass by you, and you're willing to step out and do those extra things, you do fail, and you fail a lot. Sometimes you don't realize how much you fail until after you're like, wait a second, there's a pattern here. But staying engaged, learning from those mistakes, having the fortitude to keep moving forward. You have to have that balance between the negative, because failure is considered to be negative, and then finding the positive in that negative and being able to move forward with the positive. One of the examples that I shared with Brooke was sometimes when you're growing up, or you're maybe with a parent, or you're with somebody that you respect as you're growing up, and that person tells you, go get a good job, work 9 to 5, put in 50 years and I tried that a couple of times. It definitely was not for me. We have a young man here in the audience who's breaking out on his own after 19 years of working for a company, I'm assuming, or maybe several different companies. But at some point in time in the past 2 or 3, 5, 10 years, you probably thought to yourself, man, if I was doing this for myself, I think I could be successful. And that's why you're here. So you just gotta have to have that mindset when you take that approach towards being an entrepreneur. It's not a one size fits all. I talk with several different people who have entrepreneurship spirit, but still work for somebody else, and that works for them as well. Maybe in a sales job, or maybe I know a lot of people who do like service routes, and sales is part of the service route. And having that entrepreneurial spirit, or knowing that I can earn more if I apply myself a little bit more, is kind of what what that driving factor is and that mentality, being able to cash in on your own value, I think is a big part of it too. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Do you remember when you decided that you weren't going to work for somebody else and you wanted to be out on your own?
I was probably 3 when no. God, I don't know. I never liked the thought of, I actually never liked the thought of going to school. I mean, even when I was younger, and I'm glad I did. I mean, I was, at one point in time, I was 12 or 13 years old, thought I knew everything. And the older I get, the more wrong I was. Yeah, I would say at a very early age, but I wasn't encouraged. And that's one of the things, and I'm looking at this nice young lady here in the front row. Do what you feel's right. Don't, just because somebody tells you need to go to college or something, you go get a job, or you need to cut hair for a living, or you need to be an electrician, or you need to be a lawyer or a doctor. You need to follow what you want to do, and you need to find that thing that you enjoy, and then figure out how to support yourself doing it. And that's where you're going to find the happiness at in your life. So, yeah. Sorry to single you out, but that's I wish somebody would have told me that when I was your age. Really do. So
how did you get started in insurance? Is that what you wanted to do?
Oddly enough, I always okay. This is something my dad. My dad was always, I don't know, wise or a wisecracker. I don't know for sure which. But he'd always have a real slick saying like, well, don't know too many retired exterminators, do you? And, you depending on what the subject matter was. And, he'd always say, well, I don't know any poor insurance agents. So I was like, well, maybe. So I spent 20 years or so working for different companies, working quality engineering, getting my education, getting a bachelor's degree, those sort of things. But I was never what I would say happy or satisfied with what I was doing. About 5 or 6 years ago now, somebody approached me with the opportunity of doing insurance. I was like, and they kind of explained it. I was like, okay, maybe I should do that. Yeah, that sounds interesting. The next couple of years, I kind of played around with it a little bit, and then 2020 rolled around, and that's kind of when I started doing it full time. The fall of 2020, right before annual enrollment came about, I had a friend of mine approach me about doing Medicare, and I actually went to my lovely wife about it because I was like, Medicare? Well, that can't be any fun. And so wrong. So wrong. Thanks, Jeannie. I appreciate that. So wrong on that subject. And she goes, man, you'd be good at that. And I was like, really? So I went back and talked to my friend, Dana was her name, and she kind of explained it to me. I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a try. And I started doing it, and man, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. When you get to sit down and you get to talk to people who are wiser than you, not smarter necessarily, but wiser, and who have lived more than you have, and that's your actual job, and you can make a living doing that, that is fascinating. Because I get to sit down and I get to learn things from a different perspective on a daily basis, and it's a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I really enjoy it. And I know some people have joined us here who work in the same market that I work in, and I know they love what they do as well. So, yeah, that's kind of where I got into the Medicare side of things, and that's my passion. So, yeah.
So you're going to continue to do Medicare, or what other types of products do you work with?
So, I'm going to continue to do Medicare. There's a lot of joy and satisfaction in doing that, knowing that you actually help somebody. there's a big difference between going to work and making a widget and shipping the widget out the door and then not knowing what happened to the widget. But when you actually get to sit down and sit with somebody, and when you walk away from that person after, a half hour, 45 minutes, whatever that time frame was, and you actually helped them, man, that makes your day. That really makes your day. So making that difference and developing that personal relationship, so as far as the Medicare, I'm never going to give that up, and but I do life insurance as well. I have a couple of different products that I work with as far as whole life insurance. I have what I call a debt elimination product that I work with. That's a new venture that I'm starting up this year that I really want to move forward with. I know we've got a couple of people in the room that help people with their finances as well. That's a big thing that's troubling the United States right now. I think, if I remember correctly, credit card debt finally went over $1 trillion in the United States. The average person over 70 they're still putting debt on credit cards to survive. And that was one of the things that really, made me think about helping people eliminate debt was, you sit down and talk with somebody who's 70, 75 years old, and they're still paying on credit cards or loans that they created when they were 55 or 60 years old. They're retired. Even if they had a good retirement plan, okay, that majority of their income is fixed. And if they're still paying on debt, that's an issue. That hinders their ability to enjoy, those remaining fruits of what their labor was for the past 40 years, what their life meant to them. So being able to get people my age and younger to get rid of debt, have proper coaching, and learn what that is something that I'm now learning at the tender age of, older than some of the people in the room. Never tell my age, sorry. No, but I wish it's an education that I would have had earlier. I don't think there would have been a lot of the struggles that you have in life. Money can't buy happiness, but it certainly takes away a lot of stress. So, yeah.
You mentioned growing up you didn't have somebody to support your entrepreneurial spirit. Does that change the way that you interact with your children?
Oh, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I had wonderful parents. I had 4 parents growing up, so I had twice as much fun as the average kid, I guess. But my parents were all raised by World War II, or Depression era people. All 4 of my grandparents were born in the Depression era. So you don't spend money, you don't save, you go to work, you work hard, that sort of mentality. And that got transferred to my parents, and then, of course, that got transferred into me. So I don't want to, it wasn't encouraged because it wasn't known.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I want my kids to know 100% that, it's the world is an open book, and you go out there and you write your own pages. 100%. Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice that you've received, or a favorite quote that you keep coming back to?
Well, my favorite quote of all time came from my grandpa. When you're driving, worry about the idiot that's behind the guy in front of you. That's been my favorite quotes. My favorite quote since I turned 16. So. I think I was pushing 17 years old, and I'd been in a couple of accidents already, and I was about to lose my license, and went out to my grandpa's house, and that's what he told me. He goes, worry about the idiots behind the guy in front of you. And I was like, it's pretty good advice. So that's kind of what I've went with. we do affirmations, a lot of affirmations, and I network with a lot of different people, a lot of really good people. So to narrow it down to one quote is kind of hard to do. The one I got today is love yourself more. I think that's important. It's a lot easier for other people to love you if you know how to love yourself. The one I keep up on my dashboard of my car is success is inevitable. That is one of the things that really, I got my friend Patty, who's in the audience, gave me that card here about a month ago. And I looked at that and I was like, you know what, if I keep doing what I'm doing, if I keep working hard, I keep putting forth that effort, eventually I am going to succeed at what I'm trying to accomplish. And that doesn't necessarily mean big picture. It's the little things along the way. I taught myself how to build a web page this week. So I now have a live web page.
Okay, all right.
So it needs a lot of editing.
But it's there.
But it's there. So yeah, super excited about that. But it's, I've watched a YouTube video and taught myself kind of how to do it. Walked through a couple of tutorials, and now I'm sitting with an active web page with a form that you can fill out if you'd like more information about insurance. So yeah, a little cheap plug there.
What was the trivia question that we had yesterday about persistence? What was the question? The number one quality
of entrepreneurs is persistence. Yeah, I got that one wrong though.
That's okay. You got it wrong, you know it now.
But I know it now. Yeah, just keep talking to people, keep plugging away. Let people know what you're passionate about. There's another young man here in the room that I met with a couple weeks ago, and I think we share the same heart or the same concept of wanting to do the right thing. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do the wrong thing, but it's not with wrong intent. But I think you should always approach everything that you do with that intent to do something correctly. So that's the one thing I think is if you're approaching things consistently or persistently with a good heart or good intention, I think that's where that success is inevitable comes into play. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we ask everybody this.
Oh.
Keeps you perked up and motivated to keep doing what you're doing.
Coffee, lots and lots of coffee. Oh man, I'll be honest with you. I've got an 11-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son, and I was obviously, I was in my mid to late 30s, maybe 40 when they were born, but they're wonderful. They're full of energy. My son has this infectious smile. He's usually picking on somebody, but like me. But he just has this infectious curiosity that I had when I was a kid, and that really just motivates me, keeps me uplifted. If you spend 15 minutes with my son and you're not uplifted, you weren't paying attention. That's the kind of kid he is. So yeah, it's great. And my daughter's, she's very empathic. Is that the right word to say? And I don't know if she'd necessarily walk up to a stranger in a street corner and give him a hug, but she has a really good ability to read people, so in that way. So yeah, that's what keeps, that really levitates my spirits a lot. And there's great people around here too to talk to. So being able to talk to Brooke or Amy or Ray on a daily basis is a pleasure too. So yeah.
We love having you here.
Well, thank you.
Favorite local restaurant or local business that you like to shop at?
Oh man. Lincoln has a lot of good restaurants. Omaha has a lot of good restaurants as well. I think my favorite comfort spot is Cook's.
Oh. I don't think anybody said that one yet.
it's a kind of a small place. I'm pretty sure the same waitresses have been there for the past 50 or 60 years. No, I'm kidding. The wait staff is consistent. The food's consistent. It's priced the way you go in for biscuits and gravy. It's priced the way biscuits and gravy should be priced. If you order a steak, it's priced the way a steak should be priced. But it's a nice atmosphere. There's always good conversations going on at all the tables. It just has that small town vibe going on with it. Yeah. So.
Does anybody have questions or comments for Bill?
Where's
Cooks,
Cooks?
where I think it's La Paz, just up here off of Cotner and I'm pointing the wrong direction, but yeah, it's right there. So, yeah.
How long is it going to take before you get your new the debt management thing up and running? Right now?
I'm actually I've been working with it now. I've got 5 or 6 clients that I'm working with right now on it. It's now that I know how to do my own website, so that's probably my project for this weekend is to get that website up and running. I needed to get the trade name registered yet, but that's going to be called Debt Free Nebraska, and I'm going to really open that up to everybody and try to reteach. That's a good question, because the debt free. That debt elimination is not necessarily just let's pay off debt. Okay, you can listen to the guys on the radio and to go, oh, okay, well, if I don't spend any money, I don't buy another car for the next 10 years, and ramen noodles are going to be a little tough, but I think I can get that done. You can pay off debt, but at the end of the day, you've paid off debt and you've compromised lifestyle. What the intent there is to kind of re-educate you on how the banking systems work, how to help you leverage the banking system to work for you. And then I'm not sorry about that. I'm not a financial coach by any means, but I can point you in the right direction when it comes to people who understand how to, create that foundation, as it was said earlier. But my part of it is more of let's find a vehicle to make it happen, teach you how it works, and make it so that you never go back in debt again. Okay, and that is the big part of it. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about that. If I can start sitting down with retirees, that plus 65 generation in 10 years from now, and know that I helped that person eliminate debt before they retired, I'm gonna feel even better about that situation than I do now. So yeah.
Other questions for Bill?
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
I'm peeking around.
I was waiting. Part of Entrepreneurial Week was a piece about relationships with failure.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that you don't grow, you don't fail. Talk to Edison. It took him a long time to get the right thing. So as you're continuing to grow your business, how do you build on what you're doing in spite of failure? I've been there, done that, burned through T-shirts in the process. But so what do you see? You're still experimenting with some of your programs, if I understand you correctly. What do you see in your positive statement on your dashboard as part of that? But what do you see are some of the things you can do to keep yourself on the positive thing going forward, as well as growing and building and offering new opportunities that came about because of failure?
Well, no, it's a good question. The debt elimination product is a big result of failure. Failing myself. Even people who make really good money fail at their finances. I'm not special by any means. I make money. It's like, well, that's a nice looking car. I think I'm going to go buy it. Okay, you know, and now that's a nice looking car. Maybe I'll buy it later, you know, but you're taking, I think you use the word experiment. I think the more you fail and the more you learn, the less of an experiment that it is. When you develop a hypothesis, as a hypothesis is based on no knowledge, I think when you get to the point where you're no longer guessing and you're able to have a decent hypothesis of what to do to move forward, I think that's one of those, you know, success points. So I don't know if that necessarily answers the question or not, but yeah, that's you gotta take the failure from being, you know, probably shouldn't do that again to okay. Yeah.
So what do you do in replacement, right?
Yeah. So once you figure out that, okay, I'm not going to do it that way again, but this part of it worked, this part of it didn't. Okay, so you don't do 100 miles an hour down Cotner Boulevard, right? Okay, that causes an accident. So when I'm on Cotner Boulevard, I need to slow down, but when I'm on the interstate, you know, I can do 75. And that's okay, but you know, those are obvious distinctions. But you know, being able to take the failure of, okay, if I did 100 on a Cotner, I had an accident. Okay, I can still drive on Cotner Boulevard. I just can't do 100 miles an hour, and that's when you start, you know, learning from those lessons. So, Patty.
What's your favorite kind of client to work with?
Oh, put me on the spot. I just like working with people who need help. You know, Medicare, I can narrow it down and make it look simple, but there's so much going on in the background. And being able to work with somebody and walk away knowing that they understand at that point in time that the correct decision was made, and I don't expect anybody to remember 2 days later the conversation we had, because that's my job to remember, not theirs. But you know, somebody just truly needs help. You know, that's the big part of it. So young, old, educated, uneducated, you know, a former chef or a former, you know, lawyer, it doesn't matter to me. I just want to be able to go out and help somebody who actually wants to be helped. So,
Being a recipient of Medicare Advantage programs.
Yes.
I worked with the same person for years, and it's based on all the doctors I have and all the prescriptions we have.
Yeah.
How do you, as you're meeting with mature people who are retired or ready to retire, do you go through that same interview process with them to help evaluate where they're at now and what's the best opportunity?
Yeah, so the conversation has to happen first. That conversation has to happen. You know, understanding who they are, kind of what their basic needs are. You know, a lot of people, you know, a Medicare Advantage plan, I can't get into too many details without getting into trouble, but you know, some plans offer, say, certain benefits you may not be interested in. So, okay, let's move to a benefit that you actually have interest in. But the big thing is the first thing I look at is medications. Let's get the medications put in, because the medications can bankrupt somebody fast. And it's the hardest part of what we do, and getting them into the correct positions from the medication standpoint is absolutely, God, that's so essential. I can find you another doctor, I can find you another podiatrist, I can find you another heart surgeon. What I can't do is, once we get you into a plan, I can't save you any money on a medication that could cost thousands of dollars a month if I put you in the wrong plan. So we always want to start there, then we want to move over to the doctors, really make sure that you're being taken care of correctly with the people that you trust, And that's part of the conversation. But that's the work side of it. You've been, you said, with somebody for several years. You're with that person because you trust them, and that's a big part of it. This isn't home and auto insurance. This isn't, you don't call up, the 800 number and pray to heck I don't wreck my car. Because then I got to call that 800 number back and try to get service. This is your health care. This is a huge impact on what your financial situation could be. So you need to find somebody you trust. And it may not be me, and that's fine. But you need to find somebody that you trust with the Medicare. And I firmly believe there's not enough people out there doing what I do. Yeah, I am.
It's not home and auto, but I keep having parts replaced, so I don't know.
Okay, if you want to look at it from the viewpoint of a parts store. No, we put the make and model in at the top of the browser, and
who's the main audience for your website? Like when you're designing the website now, is it the Medicare client? Is it the debt saddle client? Is it...
So there's two separate entities there. The Medicare, the healthcare side of it, there's a lot more going on than just Medicare when it comes to the healthcare side of it. So that is they're two completely separate entities. But the thing that they have in common is being able to help people, and being able to do it through the insurance product. And learning and being able to leverage the insurance that you have, and that's kind of the big part of it. A lot of people pay in 40 years on a life insurance policy and not know how to take advantage of that insurance policy. Okay, we're going to sit down. We're going to learn how to take advantage of that insurance policy. If you're paying in that much money over that many years, okay, we can leverage it somehow and use it to your advantage. It doesn't have to be death insurance. We can actually use it as life insurance. That's a big thing. Yes.
So tying into Jim's question, on your website, is it the insurance or is it breaking down that, okay, here's my website, here go to debt free, here go to...
Completely separate. So with Good Life Insurance, that's its own website. Okay. It's its own logo, its own trade name. The Debt-Free Nebraska is going to be a completely separate trade name. It's two completely separate, ran by the same Yahoo. So, they're definitely separate. But again, it's about going back and being able to help the person at a younger age. So when they get to being a mature adult, as John said. So, yeah.
I was just going to ask, so as an entrepreneur, I'm getting into that and learning about it. What has been the most useful for maintaining a work-life balance? Because it seems like there's always more I could do.
Is my wife still paying attention? Okay. It's hard. One of the things that I do is this year I'm helping coach my son's baseball team. It's a 9 and under team. By far not the most talented group of baseball players in the city of Lincoln, but being able to have that experience to strengthen that relationship with my son. Helping my daughter with her homework, keeping that stuff, setting deadlines on certain days. So today is Thursday. There's not a lot going on in the evening for the family-wise in the evening, so I'll probably work late tonight. But like last night, Valentine's Day, Ash Wednesday, I'm going to go home early. We're going to go to church. We're going to do our thing with church and get the ashes, the whole dust to dust philosophy going on there. But yeah, you have to make sure that you're making that time.
And date night with your wife too, as long as she's listening.
Yes, every night's date night. Yep, honey, every night's date night. No, but yeah, having that work-life balance and having the support from them is, yeah, you have, that is probably the most critical, because, you know, when you define your why, are you going out on your own because you want to do it for yourself? Or are you trying to do it to make the lives better of the people around you, your family? You know, that's part of that decision of, you know, becoming an entrepreneur is, you know, is how does this affect the family? But yeah, you've got to have the balance. You have to schedule it. You've got to sit down and these are the nights I can work late. These are the nights I need to spend with my family. These are the things that are going on with my kids. Coosier Elementary, cheap plug here, next Wednesday night, pancake feed. We're going to a pancake feed next Wednesday night. So next Wednesday, I'm not working late. Work-life balance. Make it happen.
And I think part of that is getting into seasons. Like, you know, during the spring, you're going to be spending more time coaching.
Yep.
So some of the things are going to have to take back burner, whereas then when that's over, you can spend more time building your business, building the client list, but rather than thinking balance, because I don't know in an entrepreneur that there really is a true balance. It's more seasonal, and it just, for me, takes the pressure off because, okay, I'm just in this season right now. I'm going to get back here, but, you know, the balance. Okay, I spent too much time with my children, so now I can spend, you know, it just makes me crazy.
Yeah. So I firmly believe you cannot spend too much time with your children.
Well,
I know you're using that as an example. But yeah.
but you still have to put food on the table.
Yes.
So you're spending, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And a lot of times why we are entrepreneurs is so we have more time to spend with our family.
You're creating freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creating freedom.
I can't remember the term exactly, but it was to get away from the balance part, and it was more work-life mix, I think it was.
Yes, that's probably a good way to say it.
That was a little bit more profound than mix, but that's what I remember. Think of it as a work-life mix, and that it's not always going to be balanced, but over time, you're looking at patterns. It was.
That mix. And yeah, Rachel, I'm sorry.
What is that one thing you love about you that keeps you going?
Love about me that keeps me going? Wow, Rachel, come on. I don't know. I mean the family, like me personally, or just about what I have going on in my life.
Do you as a person
Just
keeps you studying and keeps you going and doing what you do?
get fear of failure?
I heard you say passion. To help others.
Passion, yeah. Well, okay. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah. I guess the passion to help others. The one thing that I will tell anybody, if you don't know what you're going to do, learn a trade. It's okay to make eye contact with me. Learn a trade. Okay? And this little known facts, people are always going to need their hair cut. Okay? If it's 100 degrees outside, people are going to want their air conditioners fixed. Okay? Something goes wrong with plumbing in your house, guess what's going to happen? You're going to call somebody, get it fixed, or figure it out yourself, right? Okay, learn a trade. Become an electrician, become a hairstylist. And I'm not talking standard gender roles here either. It's okay for a woman to be a plumber, a woman to be an electrician. It's okay for a man to be a barber or a beautician. Don't let the stereotype stop you from learning that trade. And once you learn that trade, you can carry it with you. So say you learn to be an electrician, then you end up being a brain surgeon. Not that there's a lack of brain surgeons, but if something happens and you need to go back and you need to fall back on being an electrician 20 years from now, you have that trade. You have a way to support yourself and the people that you care about just by having that. And I think that kind of falls underneath that entrepreneurial spirit as well. Just having that extra skill set. Electrician and brain surgeon is kind of a reach, but you get what I'm.
Both doing with webinars and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah. Synopsis things going on there. Yeah. But yeah. find something that you love and do it. That's the bottom line for me.
Well, to Brooke's point, really you were able to bring your family into your business, you're setting an example for them that, okay, being an entrepreneur is not brave. I mean, you still have to be brave to go out on your own. Well, I mean, starting your own business, you had to take a leap of faith. Rachel took a
I had to get permission. I had to get permission. No,
I mean,
no.
we're involving our family.
Yeah.
How would you, like if you're doing sales, they're helping you package whatever. So you're involving the family in your life more than the 9 to 5, okay, I'm going to work now,
Yeah.
I'll see you when I get home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time for one final comment or question. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much, Phil.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate
We
it.
appreciate you being here and sharing with us and being in the focus suites.
Yes.
Everybody feel free to stick around and have another cup of coffee.
Thank you.
We also have cookies, Sunflower House, thank you,
Yep.
from our friend Stacy. So take one of those on your way out or stick around and have a cookie and network. And we will be back next week. Our speaker next week is
Sarah.
Yes. Sarah
Sarah
Collins
Collins.
with Collins Career Coaching. So
Okay.
we invite you back next week and have a great day.